Morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Today we have a summative test to do. And in live class today, we went over and did a test review. So this is a makeup if you were not there. The agenda for today, we have a couple things to do. And the goal for today is I can show what I learned. So first, we're going to do a greeting and check-in. Second, we're going to review for the test. And then three, you're going to go off on your own and take that test. So I want to know, how do you feel for today's test? How are you feeling? To answer that question, we are going to look at um, these gifts of different animals. How do these animals kind of represent how you're feeling? Are you kind of on edge, running around, number one? Are you kind of angry or confused, like this bird? Are you tired? Are you just saying nope? Which number represents how you feel? So now let's go in and review some of our vocab words. So this unit, you've been creating a word wall slides. I hope that is something that you have finished and done, because that is something you can use to help you on today's test. These are the words that should be in your word wall slides. First would be migration. Remember migration, M, moving, M. Migration means moving, and a good way to remember that is they both start with the letter M. So migration is moving from one place to another place to live there. So migration is moving, it's coming and going wherever. It could be coming and going from different cities, states, or even countries. An example sentence is migration happens for many reasons. And this would be a noun. Another vocab word that we have is immigration. Immigration is to come to another country. It's not to leave, it's to come to another country to live there. It's kind of like the act of immigrating, and this is a noun. An example sentence for this is immigration is very common in the United States. A lot of people come to the United States for lots of different reasons. This picture kind of shows us what immigration means, right? Like we're entering the door, we're coming, right? Our next word was immigrate. Immigrate means to come to another country to live there. This one's a verb. Immigration, noun. Immigrate, verb. We've learned about what verbs are, right? This is an action. This is something you can do. You're literally doing it. An example sentence, many people immigrate to the United States every year. And again, we're coming. See how everyone's going in the same direction? Migration, people are moving, they're doing all sorts of things, going in different directions. Immigration, you're all coming to one specific place. And another word we had was immigrant. This is a person. And this is the person who comes to another country to live there, right? So Maria is an immigrant. She came to the United States last year. It's a person. This is a noun. I think the picture does a good job of reminding us here that here we can see all the different people, the countries that they came from because of the flag, but now they're all here in the United States. And then after we talked about our immigration vocab, we learned about adjectives. Remember, an adjective is a word that describes a noun. An adjective is a word that describes something. We can describe lots of different parts of it. We could describe its color. We have the black scissors. We could describe its size. The huge cup, right? We could describe its shape. The cylinder pen, right? We could describe its taste, like the sweet ice cream or the sour candy. We can describe its odor, which is how it smells. We could have, like we could say it smells salty or musty, right? Stinky. You decide the texture of something. How does it feel? Is it bumpy? Is it smooth? Is it squishy? We can also describe the sound of something. Is it loud, quiet, faint, pleasant? Okay, how does it sound? You also describe the number. Are there a few? Are there many? Is there 50 of them? 100 of them? Two of them? And then last, we can also describe like weather. We could say it's clear, sunny, it's dry, it's rainy, it's windy. These are all adjectives. These are things that we can describe. And then we talked about verbs. So a verb is a word that shows action. This is something you can literally do. Okay. Remember when we talked about the parts of a sentence last unit, we talked about how the sentence has two parts. We have the who or the what, and then we have the what's happening. The verb is like the what's happening part of the sentence. It's what is going on, it's what you're doing. So some examples be like batting, hitting, walking, waving, writing, nodding, skipping, leaping. These are all things that you can do. It's like sleeping, dancing, spinning, skating, eating, thinking. Those are all things that you can do, right? I can say he thinks or she jumps. Thinks and jumps are things that they're doing. It's an action word, so it's a verb. And then we talked about past tense verbs. So past tense is a way to write your verbs to show or so that you know they happened in the past, right? Today I jump. Yesterday I jumped. You change the way that they're written. You change their spelling. And this picture does a really good job of kind of showing the different kinds. So we have, for most verbs here, we add just an ed, right? Like play becomes played, visit becomes visited, mix becomes mixed. But some verbs don't follow the rules, and that's what we call irregular. And like some examples of that are bring becomes brought, win becomes won, and go becomes went. And that just means you kind of have to just memorize them, right? So today he will bring me my homework. Yesterday he brought me my homework. Okay. Today we will win the game. Yesterday we won the game. Okay. So those are all of our vocab words that you should have in your word wall slides. It's very important that you share your word wall slides with me if you have not done that so far. That was an assignment we had a couple weeks ago. So now let's kind of talk. Let's use these. Let's have some discussions. Let's see if we are all understanding on the same page. So immigration. Why is immigration important? What do you think? Is immigration common in the United States? Why do people migrate or immigrate? Does everyone immigrate for the same reasons, or are there different reasons? Are there lots of reasons, or maybe just one reason? Why do people immigrate? Why is it important to talk about? What do you think? Well, what I think is that immigration is very important to talk about because it's very common in the United States. Just think about this. Everyone who lives in the United States, unless you're a Native American, you are an immigrant to this country. And it doesn't matter if your family came 2 months ago or 200 years ago. You are an immigrant. You came to this country, unless you were Native American. That's why it's important to talk about it, right? Because that's something that we all are, unless you're Native American. Why do people migrate or immigrate? Well, there's lots of different reasons. We've talked about some of them. We've talked about how people may be escaping war or just want a better life, or maybe they just feel like moving and want to try something new. But we've also talked about some of the sad parts of it where we have people who are forced to migrate, like the Native Americans were forced to migrate off their lands and move on to reservations or other areas of the country. And then we also talked about how African Americans were forced to migrate to the United States to become slaves. And that's just kind of the sad reality and something we need to talk about so we can learn and do better in the future. So, immigration, it's very important, and there's lots of reasons why people do immigrate or migrate. So, adjectives. Remember, adjectives describe. They can describe color, size, shape, emotion, sound, smell, taste, and even more. Anything that you can use to describe something. And here we have lots of different examples of some different categories that you can use to describe something. So let's practice. So here you can see this picture of the shooting star. What adjectives can you use to describe the shooting star? What adjectives? Well, one, maybe it's fast. I mean, we don't know, that'd be a guess, but you could say it's fast because you can kind of see it's moving. It's yellow. It's colorful. There's lots of colors. We could say it's big or it's small, depending on its size, right? There's lots of adjectives we could use to describe that, and that's something you'll need to know how to do for your test today. If that's something you're not sure of how to do, please let me know, and we can work on it together. I want you to get a good score on your test. And then we've been talking about verbs. Remember, verbs equal action words. Those are the things you do, right? Action words, things you can do as an action. Past tense verbs here, those are when most past tense verbs end in an ed, right? So talk becomes talked, watch becomes watched, laugh becomes laughed, bump becomes bumped, move becomes moved. So for most part, you can just add an ed to the ends of most verbs, or just a d if it ends in an e already, like in this example right here, moved to moved. But not all verbs follow these rules, so you kind of have to memorize them, right? So if it doesn't end in an ed, that means it's irregular. That means it does not follow the rules. So here are some examples of irregular verbs. So are becomes were, is becomes was, run becomes ran, know to knew, and eat to ate. And there's lots more examples right here. This is something I think you should take a screenshot of if that's something that you're not very familiar with. So the green words are the regular verbs, and then the red letters are the past tense version. So sit to sat, make to made, all the way down the list. And if that's something that you are not very good at remembering, take a screenshot of this slide right now, and you can have these examples with you, and that's something that you can use on the test with you. What also you can use on the test would be on that worksheet we did yesterday. That's like a little cheat sheet, kind of like a little note sheet. You can use that on the test for your verbs. So now it's time to go in and take the test. You can use your resources. You can use screenshots of these slides. You can use your adjective practice sheets that we did, like how you described yourself with adjectives, or your different adjective notes that we've done. You can use your word wall slides for your immigration vocab, right? These are all things that you can use to help you. So now it is time to go in and take your test. I hope you all are successful. If you have any questions, please let me know. Good luck.